So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Huki back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, January 7th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, January 7th here today, coming off of another big night in sports last night, as we had a lot of good sports on last night. Locally, you had the New York Knicks defeating the Boston Celtics on the crazy R.J. Barrett three-pointer for the win. It was pretty wild, and it was a good win, for the Knicks, because I talked about it a couple days ago, and we got another big night tonight in sports. You got the Nets back on against the Bucks. You head into a packed weekend. Football on tomorrow, football on Sunday, and you look at the Knicks game last night, and it was a very good win. It was a hard-fought win. It wasn't an easy win. It was one of those wins where it was ugly. You fell down early. You were down the most of the game, but you were able to find a way to come back, grind it out. And R.J. Barrett, who struggled for the entire game, came up with the biggest three-pointer and the biggest shot of the game as the New York Knicks beat the buzzer and got the win. And as crazy as it might sound, this is an interesting stat that I got to throw at you, because you always talk about game winners and stuff, and game winners and great plays and big moments and buzzer beaters. For basketball, football, it's Hail Marys. Baseball, it's a walk-off home run or a walk-off hit. You always talk about all that stuff. The last time the Knicks had a game-winning buzzer beater was December 26th, so a day after Christmas 2012, when they were in Phoenix playing against the Suns. J.R. Smith hit that shot. So just over, 10 years later now. It's been, 10 years now? Because it's, 9 years now. Whatever it is, it's just over, 9 years now. That was the last time the Knicks had a game-winning buzzer beater. Now, if you do recall, a couple years ago, Kristaps Porzingis against the Mavericks in Dallas, if my memory serves correct, in Dallas, Kristaps Porzingis almost hit the game-winning buzzer beater, but his fingers were just slightly too long. His fingers were still on the ball when the buzzer sounded, barely still on the ball when the buzzer sounded. So, Knicks got the win last night. A very good win for the Knicks. Rangers got absolutely destroyed. I mean, look, the reality is this. Alexander Georgiev is nowhere near as good as a goaltender as Igor Shesterkin is. And that's the reality of it. It's the sad reality, because you wish you had a quality backup. But Alexander Georgiev is just way too inconsistent. And against a very good Vegas Golden Knights team, one of the better teams in the NHL, he's just not good enough. He's not there yet. He's not good enough. And the Rangers to only put up 18 shots on goal, too, is not good enough either. And they got crushed 5-1. So not a good start to the road trip. The West Coast road trip, not a good start. But you got to hope that they bounce back and get the win. They will be back in action tomorrow night against the Ducks in Anaheim. So we'll see how all that goes. Knicks got the win. Rangers took the tough loss. And today we got the Nets on against the Bucks. Tomorrow's Kentucky and Georgia, and 2 NFL games on tomorrow. This is, in fact, a Football Friday podcast, so a lot to get to in the world of the NFL. Big weekend, Week 18 in the NFL. You got 2 games on tomorrow between Chiefs and Broncos, and the Cowboys-Eagles are on tomorrow night. And then the rest of the league, starting with the 1 o'clock games, wrapping up with the Chargers-Raiders game. Winning, you're in. That game will be on Sunday Night Football. Come in Monday, playoffs, wild card, division winners, all that good stuff will be set. And I believe only one division is still up for grabs in the let's see, I believe, actually 2 divisions. NFC West is still up for grabs. Rams loss, Cardinals win would put the Cardinals in. Rams got to just take care of business against the Niners. And the AFC East as well is still up for grabs. If the Bills beat the Jets, they're in, no matter what happens. If the Bills lose to the Jets this weekend and the Patriots beat the Dolphins, Patriots are in. Now, if the Bills lose and Patriots lose, Bills are in. So Bills, all they got to do is pretty much just win, and if they don't win, they got to hope the Patriots lose. So those are the two options, Jets, Bills, and Giants, Washington are your New York games this weekend. Alrighty, so with all that being said, let's get to the topic for today. As you all know, it's been 18 weeks here, all of last season, all of this season so far. You know the drill. It's the Football Friday podcast. I will give you my game picks for all 16 NFL games as we wrap up the season. That number will decrease a lot going into next weekend's wildcard round. So I'll give you the game picks. I'll give you my final game pick for the Jets and the Giants this season. Yes, no playoff football for the Jets and the Giants. This feels like the 50th year in a row. It really is. Last time we had playoff football was Ben McAdoo's first year when he took the Giants to the playoffs, and they ended up losing against the Packers in the wildcard round, but the fact is he got them there, and the last time the Jets were really playing meaningful games in December was Todd Bowles' first season when we went 10-6 and missed out on the playoffs, but it came down to the final week of the season, we didn't take care of business. So Jets, Giants, both playing meaningless games this weekend, but we'll get to it. We'll give you my game picks anyway. Then we'll get to the fantasy football advice. Last week, for most leagues in fantasy, my one league I'm still playing in, my other league is done with. So, my non-PPR league, I'm done with. My non-PPR league has one more week left, and my PPR fantasy league finished up last weekend. So, talk about fantasy, give you whatever you need to know. At this point in the season, it's pretty much over for me, at least in fantasy. My team has no chance. I'm in the consolation. In my other league, my league's done. Since it's a bigger league and we had first-round buys, we only had 1 week per playoffs. Smaller leagues usually do 2 weeks for each matchup. So, we'll get to fantasy football. Then we'll get to the New York sports update as well. Like I mentioned, Nets tonight against the Bucks, and the Knicks with the day off. They will head to Boston to play the Celtics for tomorrow night. So, an interesting home away back-to-back. Knicks obviously last night against the Celtics at the Garden. As we all know, the R.J. Barrett buzzer beater. So now they're on the road at TD Garden in Boston against the Celtics. That will be tomorrow night. Rangers also are back in action tomorrow night against the Ducks. And the Nets, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, are in action tonight back at Barclays Center against the Bucks. No Kyrie, as we all know. He's only playing road games, but it will be James Harden and Kevin Durant leading the way. And you got to hope they get a big win. You had a comeback victory against the Pacers. Now you're back home. You're without Kyrie, so I guess kind of reality sets back in, right? You were on a high there for the one game in Indiana. You're back home, I believe 2 home, then you head on the road, then you're back 2 home, and then you head on the road for a 4-game road trip later on in January. So we'll see how all that goes. But with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so this weekend wraps up the 2021-2022 NFL regular season, the first 18-week season. So this, realistically, if it was just like last year, this would be the first round of wild card. So this would be wild card weekend. If this was, this time last year, we were entering wild card weekend. Instead, we got one more weekend of the regular season, and a lot of drama can happen. I'm not going to go through every scenario. All the scenarios are out there. I'll go through a couple scenarios. Obviously like the AFC East, Bills got to win if they want to make it. If the Bills lose and the Patriots win, well, if the Bills do not win the AFC East, and that's that could be the difference between hosting a wild card game and not hosting a wild card game. So that's a big game coming up for the Bills, and that's what I mean. Like as a Jet fan, which I'll get to the Jets and the Giants a little later on. For the Jets, it is a meaningless game for the Jets, but, it would be nice to spoil the Bills, go into Buffalo and get a win. That would be nice to finish out the year, spoil the Bills' chances. Now, it's nice to play spoilers. When you have a losing season, you have no chance of, doing anything, right? Jets could win this game, lose this game, or tie this game. Either way, the Jets season's done. Come Monday, the Jets their focus shifts onto the offseason and what they got to do. And, we'll see how everything plays out. Same thing with the Giants. Win, lose, or tie, they're going into the offseason with a lot of question marks, not many answers. We'll get probably, a lot of the questions we'll probably get very soon. I mean, will Joe Judge have a job on Monday? That's a question. We'll see how everything plays out. let me just give you my game picks before I get into all of the stuff here. My game picks overall heading into this week, week 18, are 162 and 93. So I said a couple weeks ago that my goal was by the end of the regular season to at least get to 170. So I need 8 wins this week to get to 170. And I need only 8 wins. So 8 wins is definitely very possible. 8 wins would mean I need to go 8-8. So if I only get 8 wins this week, it's actually not a great week. 8 wins would mean I go 8-8, which wouldn't be terrible, but it would get me to 170. I'm hoping to get to 170 before playoffs come. If I don't get to 170 this week, that means I go below 500. So 162 and 93 heading into week 18. And by the way, I have not yet had a 13-win week. My highest week this year of wins was 12. So I've done that about 5 times. I did it week 3, week 4, week 5, 3 times in a row. Then I did it week 15, and then I did it most recently last week, week 17. I got 12 of my 16 picks correct. So hopefully this week, if I get 13, that would put me in position to be 175 and 96 going into the postseason, which would still open up the door for about 180, 185 to 87 wins for the year. So not quite where I was last year where I won 189 games. I got 189 picks correct and only 90 wrong. This season still, we'll see what happens. But anyway, a lot to get to. A couple good games. A couple games I'll spend some more time on. A couple games that mean absolutely nothing that I probably will just skim over a little bit. For example, the Packers-Lions. Packers have already clinched the NFC. They've done all that. They're going on all that stuff. They're clinched home field advantage. All that. Some of these other meaningless games. There's actually not too many meaningless games. The Vikings-Bears doesn't really mean anything. Obviously, Jets-Bills. It means something for the Bills, not really for the Jets. But anyway, let's get to the game picks here. So, how it is on my site here, it's just randomly. So I'm just going to go in random order, and we're going to kick it off with the Saturday games. Then we'll get into Sunday for 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then the Jets and the Giants. Alrighty. So let's start this here. So game number 1 comes on tomorrow. Like I said, 2 games on tomorrow. The weekend kicks off with the Chiefs and the Broncos. Chiefs come into this one 11-5. Broncos come into this game 7-9. Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites on the road at Mile High Stadium. Over/under is set at 45. This game goes on tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. So a doubleheader tomorrow on ESPN. Look, right? I get it. People when they pick games, they usually don't like to pick, against a home dog, right? When you're at home and you're an underdog, especially double digit, 10.5 points at home and you're an underdog, it's not, a lot of times teams come out with a lot of energy, with a lot of passion, right? Final game of the season. And obviously the Broncos earlier this year, they played a meaningful game at Arrowhead and they matched up pretty well against the Chiefs. Although they lost, it wasn't, it was 22-9. If their offense could have got going, it could have been a different story. But look, right, going into this game, this is it for the Broncos. They're done. The Broncos, another team, go into the offseason with a lot of questions. What's going to happen with Vic Fangio? What's their quarterback situation? Is Teddy Bridgewater really the guy? What's going on with Drew Lock? Like, what is really going on with the Broncos? A lot of questions. And for the Chiefs, this is just the game that you just want to get out of this game healthy, right? You still have a chance at winning the AFC. If the Titans somehow lose to the Texans and you beat the Broncos, which I think you will, you could win the AFC. Either way, Chiefs come out, they play well. They're just a better football team. And for a Broncos team at this point, their sights are set on the offseason and what's going to happen with Vic Fangio. I still think their quarterback's got to be a question mark. It's not a great quarterback class, but do you maybe go out and sign a free agent? This quarterback class has potential to be amazing, depending on what happens with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins and all those guys, depending on what their respective teams and their decisions do. But either way, give me the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs beat them by more than 10. I'm going to give the Chiefs the win, 31-14. I just don't think the Broncos are good enough. Their offense just isn't there. Maybe their defense is, but their offense just isn't good enough. And another year goes down where they just have not found the replacement for Peyton Manning. He was the last one there. So give me the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win this one 31-14. Over under 45, I have it right at 45, and I think the Chiefs cover the 10.5 points and the Chiefs win. Alrighty, next up here on Saturdays, the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys come into this game 11-5. Eagles come into this game 9-7. Cowboys are 4-point favorites. The over/under is set at 43. This game goes on tomorrow, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Look, right, you have a hot Eagles team and a Cowboys team that is coming off a really rough loss against the Cardinals. You know how I feel about that, right? I like the Eagles a lot. I've said I think their story this season's great going into the season. A lot of people, including myself, thought they were going to be the laughingstock of the league. Nick Sirianni saying all these weird things about the way he coaches, playing rock, paper, scissors with draft prospects to see how competitive they are. Just the way the Eagles do things are super weird, but it's worked. And look, right? I get it. The Eagles aren't the most talented football team in the world. The Cowboys are way more talented than them. They're on the road. The Eagles are at home. Cowboys are on the road. So that does give a little bit of an advantage to the Eagles, right? That place is going to be rocking. Cowboys, Eagles, great rivalry. And especially when you have two teams that, obviously this game doesn't mean much in terms of playoffs. Like, both teams are clinched. Both teams are in. Not much can change this weekend. Maybe instead of being one seed, you're the other seed. But look, I just think the Cowboys win this game. I just think they're the better football team. They're a more talented football team. Eagles are dealing with a lot on COVID. Now, I want to make this clear. I think this is a very close game. Cowboys struggled last week against the Cardinals, turned the ball over. Cardinals took advantage. If the Eagles can turn the ball over and force turnovers, on the Cowboys, Eagles can win this game. You're at home. You got the crowd behind you. But I just don't think Eagles are missing a lot of guys due to COVID. They had an outbreak on the team after last week's game. I think automatically, since you're going to be playing Wild Card Weekend, you kind of have to make maybe some decisions to sit some guys, maybe not play many guys as much. I just think the Cowboys are going to come out with this game. They're going to come out with a lot of energy. Rivalry game on the road last week of the season. You want to go into the postseason with some momentum. You don't want to go into the postseason with two bad losses and a bad taste in your mouth. That's the last thing you want. You want to go into the postseason with a win, and I think the Cowboys do that. Now, I don't think they cover the 4 points. I will make that clear. I think this is a close 3-point field goal game. Give me the Cowboys 24-21. I think the Eagles score like a late touchdown to make it interesting, but Cowboys ultimately prevail. Give me the Cowboys 24-21. I'll take the over on the over-under 43, and I think the Cowboys do not cover the 4 points, but I think the Cowboys win. All right, let's get to the Sunday games now. We got the Vikings and the Bears. Vikings come into this game 7-9. Bears come into this game 6-10. Vikings are 5.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 44. This game goes on Sunday, 1 Eastern on Fox. Look, out of all the games this weekend, this is one of the more meaningless ones. I can really make the argument it probably is the most meaningless game, maybe outside of the Giants. Washington's very meaningless. The Jets game is meaningless for the Jets, but it has some meaning for the Bills because they need to win that game in order to clinch the AFC East, and if they don't, they probably won't, because I think we'll see. I'll predict my Patriots-Dolphins pick, but either way, this game really has no meaning. And look, I look at this game as this. This is Matt Nagy's final game for Chicago, so the fans got to at least be excited about that. For the Vikings, I assume you get Kirk Cousins back. You don't have to watch Sean Mannion throw passes. That was awful as it was. Last weekend, watching that Sunday Night Football game was brutal for the eyes. Just awful. The guy could not hit anything. The guy was awful. Guy was missing his throws badly. You get Cousins back. Maybe you go into the offseason with a win. Vikings have a lot of questions this offseason. There's no doubt about it. They're going to have a lot of questions, and we're going to find those answers out, I do believe. What's going to happen with Kirk Cousins? What's going to happen with their head coach? What's going to really happen with just the overall organization and front office and GM and all that stuff? Like, are there going to be wholesale changes, or are there going to be minor changes here and there? Ultimately, I think the Vikings win this game. They're home, final game of the season. Kirk Cousins, they're just better than the Bears. The Bears stink. Matt Nagy stinks. I get it. They've been playing hard for him the past 2 weeks, but look, right? You don't even know who's going to be the Bears quarterback. Is it going to be Fields, Foles, or Dalton? Who knows? Questions there. Questions at head coach. Bears are a mess. Vikings are not in a great position, but they're not as bad as the Bears in terms of just overall organizational situation. Give me the Vikings at home, close out the season with a win. I think the Vikings win this one 28-21. I think the Vikings cover the 5.5, and I'll take the over on the over-under of 44 Vikings win. Alrighty, next up here we got the Browns and the Bengals. Browns come into this game 7-9. Bengals come into this game a very good 10-6 record. Browns are 6-point favorites. The over/under is set at 38. This game was on Sunday, 1 Eastern on Fox. Look, this is an interesting game to pick, and this is what happens Week 18. Picks are sometimes hard to do in Week 18 because A, you don't know fully who's going to play. B, you don't know how long you're going to play. Like, if a guy might be on a pitch count just to make sure they don't get injured and all that stuff. And this is one of these cases. Joe Burrow's not going to play this weekend. Bengals have decided to rest Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon's on the COVID list, so he's not playing anyway. I think they're probably resting some of their other starters. So look, this is on paper, it's like the Bengals should win, but without a lot of their starters, I don't know what's going to go on with the Browns and Baker Mayfield and if he's going to play or not with his shoulder and if he's going to take a break. They have no chance at the playoffs, but Mayfield wanted to kind of get a head start on the surgery and all that, which he has decided to get. This is going to be one of the slugfest games. There's a good chance it's two backup quarterbacks and a lot of backups on the Bengals side and a couple backups on the Browns side. And look, the reason I'm picking the Browns to win this game is this. The Browns are going to play less backups, right? The Bengals have a ton of backups in this game. They're without Joe Burrow, who's been insane. The Browns, they're at home. They're playing with a couple backups, but I think the Browns are the team least amount of backups. Browns win this game. I also think the Browns come into this game with a little bit of fight, a little bit of energy. Like, the media's been attacking us. Let's close out the year with a dub and just go into the offseason with, some decisions to make. So I'm gonna say the Browns win here. Low scoring game, 17-14 Browns win. I don't think they cover the 6 points. I'll take the under on the over/under 38. Browns do not cover the 6, but they win. Alrighty, next up here, we got the Colts and the Jaguars. Colts come into this game 9-7. Jaguars come into this game 2-14. Colts are 15-point favorites. The over/under is set at 44. This game was on 1 Eastern on CBS. Look, the Jaguars are a mess. They're an absolute train wreck. They're the laughingstock of football. Say what you want about the Giants, which I agree. Giants are awful. Jaguars are worse. Jaguars are terrible. They're 2-14. Their quarterback Trevor Lawrence has actually gotten worse this season at times. He's not showing any progress, coming off of a 4-interception game last weekend. Everything that could have went wrong with the Jaguars this season has gone wrong. And the only thing I think Jaguars are looking forward to in this game is they all been doing their whole clown thing because it's a whole thing. The general manager, Trent Baalke, their GM. Their owner is Shad Khan. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. Their GM, Trent Baalke, they want him fired. And so they're trolling not only just the owner, but I think just the organization in general. Fans are supposed to be showing up to the game with clown masks, costumes, and all that stuff to mock them and to all that stuff. So that's the only thing I think if you're a Jaguars fan that you got look forward to about this game. Other than that, Colts are going to destroy you. And say what you want about the chances, the odds, because being a 15-point home dog is it just explains a lot about what the people in the NFL think about your team. I think the Colts crushed them. I'll take the Colts 31-10. I'll take the under on the over/under 44, and I think the Colts cover the 15, so I'll just get my game pick out of the way. But I get it. There's people that are saying, if the Colts lose this game and the Raiders-Chargers tie, Colts won't. No. Listen, you could say what you want about the Colts not winning a game in Jacksonville in a long time. Colts are going to win this game. They're going to crush the Jaguars. Jaguars are awful. They're terrible. They're one of the worst teams I've ever seen. They're going to be 2-15. So last year was bad. This season's not much better. Give me the Colts, the win. They dominate. Next up here, we got the Packers and the Lions. Packers come into this game 13-3. Lions come into this game 13-1. The over/under, or the Packers are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under to this game is set at 44. This game comes on 1 Eastern on Fox. So, here's the question. Will Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, all those guys play? That's the question. We don't know at the moment. It's a question. Will they play or not is the real question. They're on the road in Detroit. I actually think it's going to be a relatively close game if Aaron Rodgers does not play. Now, let me make this clear. I do think the Packers win whether Jordan Love plays or Aaron Rodgers plays. They're just the Lions just aren't good enough. There's still more assets on the Packers backups than there are in Lions, and that's nothing against the Lions. It's just the Packers are a very good football team and the Lions are not. So I'm going to tell you this: if Aaron Rodgers plays, I'll take the Packers probably 35-14. And I'll take the I'll take the big over on the over/under of 45, and I think they'll cover the 3.5. Now, if Aaron Rodgers does not play, I could see it being a 31-21, 31-20 type game. I still think the Packers cover the 3.5, whether Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers plays, and I'll take the over either way. So I think the Packers win. If it's Rodgers, I think it's a blowout. If it's Love, I think it's a little bit closer. But either way, I still think the Packers come away with the win. And they go into the playoffs 14-3 and with a great season. I mean, that's really what it is. All right, next up here we got the Ravens and the Steelers. Ravens come into this game just a mind-boggling 8-8 record with the way they started their season. Steelers come into this game 8-7-1. Ravens come into the overall. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 41. And look, this game goes on 1 Eastern on CBS. Look. Here's the deal. The big storyline in this game is it's going to probably be Ben Roethlisberger's last game. It's against a division rival on the road. This is one of these games. There's always this type of game every year on the final week of the season where it's like two teams are battling that have an outside chance. Like if the Ravens take care of business, they have a shot at getting in. They need a lot of help. There's a lot of things that need to happen. But if they get in, they have a chance. Now, if the Ravens win this game, they need a lot to happen. Steelers, same thing. If they win this game, they need a lot to happen, but they keep the door open. So, this is one of these weird games that it's like neither team's going to be benching starters. It's going to be all in, right? They're going to be playing. They're going to try their best to make the playoffs because they need to take care of business and then they need to hope things happen. So, I do think this is going to be a tough physical football game just because both teams still have a chance. No matter if you need to win and you need 5 other teams to lose and 5 other teams to win in order to get in, and all that craziness happen, you still have a chance. So with both these teams having a chance, I predict a very tough, physical, and close game just because of the fact that both teams are still playing for something. It's not likely, but it's something, right? So I do think the Ravens win this game. Now, Big Ben's probably his final game, unless if they win and, craziness prevails and they get into the postseason. I think Big Ben will, hopefully you got to think, end the season on a high note, end your career on a high note. I don't think Big Ben will play a bad game at all. I think he'll be solid. But ultimately, I think the Ravens win. And, with all this craziness that the Ravens did with the 2-point conversions and all that, look, they probably were a 2-point conversion shy of making the playoffs. And we'll see how it goes. But give me the Ravens, especially if Lamar Jackson's back in action this weekend. Give me Baltimore 24-17. I'll take the over on the over/under of 41, and I think the Ravens cover the 3.5. They score a late touchdown to win. Alrighty, next up we got the Titans and the Texans. Titans come in this game 11-5. Texans come into this game 4-12. Titans are 10-point favorites. The over/under is 42.5. This game goes on 1 Eastern on Sunday. So look, this is going to be one of these games that, maybe you get the Titans benching their starters depending on what happens Saturday against the Chiefs and Broncos. Because if the Chiefs lose Saturday, then the Titans clinch the AFC no matter what happens with the with the game that they got against the Texans. Now, if the Chiefs win, which I think will happen against the Broncos in Denver, Titans will need to beat the Texans in order to clinch the AFC. Either way, I think the Titans win this game. Look, the Texans have been awful. They're playing their Davis Mills. It's been a rough year for them. They're 4-12, and they go into the offseason with the question of what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. Are you going to trade him, or are you just going to keep him on the roster? What's going to happen? Hopefully we find that out, because I think Watson missing an entire year was probably super frustrating for him. And I understand all those, reports came out about some of his off-the-field issues, but still, they got to get that thing figured out. Whether it's trading him, keeping him on the roster, and coming, whatever it is, Texans season's over. They have no chance in this game. Titans win. They win big. And the Titans, the next time they will take the field after this one, I believe will be in the divisional round, and Derrick Henry will be lining up next to Ryan Tannehill in the backfield again. Give me the Titans, 35-10. Titans win. Take the over on the over-under of 42.5, and the Titans cover the 10 points big time. A lot of home dogs this weekend. A lot of them. Giants at home, underdogs. Dolphins at home, underdogs. Texans at home, underdogs. Lions at home, underdogs. Jaguars at home, underdogs. A lot of underdogs at home. Eagles, home dogs. Broncos at home, underdogs. So a lot of underdogs this weekend for the home teams. Giants, Washington, we'll get to in a little bit. All right, now we get to the 4 o'clock games. A big one in LA at SoFi Stadium between the Rams and the 49ers. Rams come into this game 12-4. Niners come into this game 9-7. Rams are a close 4.5-point favorite, and the over/under is set at 44.5. This game is on 4:25 Eastern on Fox. This is a big game, a huge game for what could happen in the NFC. Now, let me tell you this, okay? Gonna go through some playoff scenarios here for a second. So if the Rams win, they're in. They're in already. They've already clinched a playoff spot. Now, if they win, they clinch the NFC West. If they lose and the Cardinals beat, if they lose and the Cardinals beat Seattle, which I'll get to in a second here, then they are a wild card team. They're not the division winner. If the Cardinals lose and the Rams lose, Cardinals are in. If the Rams just win, they're in. If the Rams just, the simplest way I could put it, if the Rams just take care of business, the Rams are in. As the NFC West champion. Now, for the 49ers, they need to win. If they lose this game, they will then need to rely on the Falcons beating the Saints. Another home underdog, which isn't crazy, but if they lose, it will be out of their control whether or not they make the playoffs. That could be a very stressful time as a Niners fan, because both games come on exactly the same time. So if you're a Niners fan and you're in like the fourth quarter and it's like 5 minutes left and it's like a tie game, and you go to the Falcons-Saints game and it's like a tie game, that's as much stress as you can get right there as a sport fan. Your playoff hinges on 2 football games and whether or not you win or lose. And if you lose and like the Falcons are, and it could be one of those scenarios where, like, if you lose, your game's over, and the Falcons have, like, 1 minute left, they have the ball, and they're in field goal range, and they could kick it to win it, that's also a very stressful situation. But those are just some playoff scenarios. A lot leans on this game. Obviously, Rams, if they lose, they're still going to make it, but there's a good chance that they don't win the NFC West, and if the Niners, if they lose, there's a good chance they're not in the playoffs. So, look, I understand a lot of people are talking about the last time these teams played, right? Niners against the Rams. Niners were home underdogs, took care of business at home. It was Beckham's first game. And look, it's a different Rams teams now, right? Like they got crushed that game. Stafford played bad. They were trying to target Beckham too much. It was a bad game. This is a different Rams team, right? This is a Rams team that has now finally found a way to properly incorporate Beckham into their rotation at receiver, right? That Niners game, all they were doing was throwing to Beckham. They were throwing to Beckham every other play. They just completely forgot that they had the NFL leader in receiving yards, Cooper Kupp. They completely forgot about him. They just were throwing to Beckham. And a lot of Matt Stafford's bad throws that game were to Beckham. A couple of the third turnovers he had were to Beckham. So if they properly spread the ball out, spread the wealth, they will win this game. If they all of a sudden get reliant on Beckham again, which they've done, they lose. And that's the reality of it. Whenever the Rams this season have gone to Beckham a lot and thrown him the ball a lot, they've lost. When they go and spread the ball out, get it to Kupp, still throw it to Beckham, not as much, they win. And the Rams have done more of that recently. So for that reason, I think the Rams win. Now, I will tell you this. For the Niners, it's still a great season whether or not they win or lose. I don't think many people, I didn't expect the Niners to have this type of season. I really didn't. With the question at quarterback and just overall not the same, I don't know. I just didn't expect it. But Deebo Samuel had a great year. And either way, I think the Rams win this game and they clinch the NFC West. Give me the Rams. I'll go Rams 31-24. I think the Rams just cover the 4.5, and I think the Rams win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 44.5, and I think the Rams win and cover. Alrighty, next up here we got the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Buccaneers come into this game 12-4. Panthers come into this game a brutal 5-11. Buccaneers are 8-point favorites. The over-under is set at 41.5. This game was on 4:25 Eastern on CBS. Look, not much insight I need to give you in this game. It's Tom Brady. It's the final week of the season. They're not going to sit him. It's Tom Brady. He's going to play. Look, he's going to play. Tom Brady's going to play. Buccaneers are going to win this game. They're going to crush them at home. Final game of the season. Get some momentum. You could say what you want about the craziness that has gone on this week with Antonio Brown. Look, the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, I know they've moved on from that. They've moved on from it. It's come Sunday, it's already a week since the crazy incident happened. So give me the Bucs. Give me the Bucs big. I don't think Antonio Brown and all that news is going to be a distraction. It's Tom Brady. It's the Bucs. Look, it's the Panthers too. The Panthers stink. They're awful. Who's going to play quarterback this game? Who's going to play quarterback? Right? Just so many questions. Panthers are in a bad spot. Buccaneers are going to crush them. Tom Brady could throw for 7 interceptions this game. They'll still win. That's how bad the Panthers' offense is. Give me the Bucs 42-14. I think they'll cover the over. Take the over on the over under 41.5. I think the Bucs crush the Panthers. Give me the Bucs. Alrighty, next up here we got the Patriots and the Dolphins. Patriots come into this game 6-point favorites rather. Dolphins come into this game 6-point underdogs. Dolphins are 8-8. Patriots are 10-6. Over under set at 39.5. So this game is on 4:25 CBS Eastern on CBS. So a rare case where Patriots fans will be rooting for the Jets this weekend. A rare case. I've said many times already. I'll say it one more time. I might say it again with the Jets-Bills game, so just be ready for that. But listen, here's the scenario, right? If the Bills win and take care of business with the Jets, which I'm going to spoil now, I believe they will, shocker. I believe they will. Bills are the AFC's champions no matter what happens in this Patriots-Bills or Patriots-Dolphins game. If the Bills lose, Patriots will need to win in order to clinch the AFC East. So if the Bills lose, that opens up the door. And we talk about it. The Bills control their own destiny. They do. They don't need any help. If they just win, they're in. That's all they need to do. If they lose, then they need help and things need to happen. I think it's Bill Belichick. It's the Patriots. Anytime the Patriots and Bill Belichick hear the word playoffs, they change. They turn into a different team. And I've said it all along with the Dolphins, right? I think that 7-game win streak was great and all, but they're just not good enough on offense. They're just not. And I'm not saying the Patriots are this spectacular offense that's going to go for 40 points this weekend, but the Dolphins showed it last weekend. Put them up against a solid defense, and they're just not good enough. Their offense is just not good enough. They kicked the field goal. That's all it was. They scored 3 points last weekend against Tennessee. Give me the Patriots and Mac Jones and Bill Belichick to win. Not saying they're going to win the AFCs, but they'll do their job. They will need the Jets to beat the Bills in order for them to be AFC East champions. So give me the Patriots here. I think the Patriots win 31-20. I'll take the over on the over-under of 39.5, and then the Patriots win. And they cover the 6 points. All right, next up here we got the Saints and the Falcons. Saints come into this game 8-8. Falcons come into this game 7-9. Saints are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 39.5 as well. 4:25 Eastern on Fox. Saints get Taysom Hill back, so no more Ian Book, no more. I don't even know. I forget the other quarterback that played for them. I completely forget. Obviously, Winston got hurt. No more Ian Book. Taysom Hill's back. So all of the kind of wildness around the quarterback situation with the Saints is over with. Saints or Trevor Siemian, that was the other guy. All the craziness and wild stuff with the Saints quarterback, and a different guy seemed like he was in every week. Taysom Hill's back against the Falcons, and I saw a little bit of the Falcons-Bills game, last weekend, and I saw a little bit of, what the Falcons look like. And the Falcons are just a pure example of they're an average football team. They're an average football team. This is a game that really, although the Saints might make it, and if you make the playoffs, you're probably better than average, but realistically, this is a game that's like against two average football teams. Two teams that aren't great on offense and aren't great on defense. Special teams pretty good, but they're not like great at anything. They're not really special at anything. They don't really have that key asset. And look, Saints need to win. If the Saints lose, no matter what happens in that Niners-Rams game, their season's over. So it cannot be stressed enough how big this game is for the Saints. And you're on the road against the Falcons. The Falcons, a division rival, is going to want to knock you out. They're definitely going to want to knock you out. Because if they lose this game, their season's over, no matter what happens in that Rams-Niners game. If they win this game, well, they still need some help. They need the Niners to lose, then they need to win. So if they win this game, they did their part, then they would need some help. I think the Saints win this game. I just think they're going to come out. I think both teams are going to come out with a lot of energy. I think the Falcons are going to come out. I also think the Falcons are going to come out a little frustrated with the way last week's game went. You go into halftime against a very good Buffalo Bills team winning, and you come out and you lay an absolute dud in the second half, not scoring a single point. So I think they're going to come out with a lot of energy. They realize what's at stake. They could eliminate the Saints from playoff contention. For the Falcons, for their fan base, that'd be a win in there. That'd be a win for them. Beating a division rival, taking them out of the playoffs, they take it. Especially all the years of Drew Brees dominating that division, they gladly take it. But I do think the Saints win this game. I think Taysom Hill will be a nice boost to get back. No more Ian Book, no more of these garbage quarterbacks that they just pick up on the side of the street. You get Taysom Hill back. You get some of his, his athleticism back, and, I think the Saints win this game. So, give me the Saints 21-10. I think their defense steps up in a big way. Saints win. I'll take the under and the over-under 31.5, and I think the Saints win and cover the 3.5 points. Next up here, we got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Cardinals come in this game 11-5. Seahawks come into this game 6-10. Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 48. 4:25 Eastern on Fox. Well, biggest storyline in this game is this Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll's last game with the Seahawks? That's the big question. And, we'll get that answer, obviously, in the offseason. I think deep down inside, Russell Wilson ultimately wants to stay with the Seahawks. And ultimately, I think what will depend on what Russell Wilson does will depend on what Seattle and Pete Carroll decide to do. Because I think if Russell Wilson decides to move on and go do another team, Seattle will probably enter a rebuild stage. If Russell Wilson decides to stay put and say, hey, I want to come back, let's run this thing back, then I think Pete Carroll stays. I think whatever Russ does, Pete Carroll does. And I don't even think that's all. I think it's kind of out of Pete Carroll's control, too. I think if Russell Wilson leaves, the Seahawks automatically have to go into a little bit of a rebuild. Just strictly because when you lose a franchise quarterback that was that good for so long, you're going to lose some other pieces along with him, and you ultimately just need to restart, and get ready again. Not always is it an easy handoff where one franchise quarterback goes down, boom, you just bring in another one. So that's the big storyline in this game. And another storyline, too, is, hey, can the Cardinals win this game and Niners beat the Rams and the Cardinals win the NFC West? We'll see. I do think the Cardinals win this game. Win the NFC West? I don't think so. But I do think they win this game. They're at home. I mean, I don't know how much more I could say. Seahawks just aren't a good team this year. Talk about the roster. Talk about the history between them and the whatever it is. They're the better team. Cardinals at home. They're still playing for something. Give me the Cardinals. 35-21. Cardinals win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 48. And the Cardinals win this game and cover the 6.5. Next up, we got the Chargers and the Raiders. This is the nightcap. Chargers come into this game 9-7. Raiders come into this game 9-7. Chargers are 3-point favorites. The over-under is set at 49.5. This game is on Sunday, 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Assuming the Colts take care of business down in Jacksonville against the Jaguars, this will be the scenario. Raiders win, they're in. Chargers win, they're in. If the Colts win and a tie happens, I don't even want to think about it. That hurts my brain to think about. I don't know who has the tiebreaker. I'd assume it's probably the Chargers, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. I just guessed. I honestly not even kidding. I just guessed. I don't even know who has the tiebreaker. If this game would to tie, I think right now I think the Chargers do because the Chargers right now are in. If the season would end right now, the Chargers would be in, Raiders wouldn't be. So if this game ties, Chargers are in. There is that one wild scenario that if the Colts lose to the Jaguars, which is just not going to happen, and if this game ties, well, both teams are in. Not going to happen. Don't believe it's going to happen. It is the NFL. I don't want to say I want to see it happen, but it would be funny if it did. It would be funny. It would be something pretty wild. But, look. This is the biggest game of the week, I think. I mean, you talk about two teams legitimately needing a win. Like, two teams that are battling for the same playoff spot. You talk about a true winner-go-home type game. This is what this game is. Win or go home. Win, you're in. Lose, you're done. There's no other scenario about it. No other scenario. Win, you're in. Lose, you're done. So, that's it. And like I was talking about this yesterday, and I talked about this throughout the week. You know Allegiant Stadium in Vegas is going to be rocking. You know that for a fact. This is their biggest game that they've played there since moving there. This is their biggest game. It's in Vegas. That place is going to be packed. It's a very meaningful game. It's the Chargers, a division rival. It all comes down to this. And I get it. A lot of people are taking the crowd and at home and the home field advantage. But ultimately, I think Justin Herbert and Chargers are going to win this game. This is also the biggest game, I think, of Justin Herbert's career. The biggest game for the Raiders in their new stadium. A lot's at stake. Playoff bid is at stake in this game. I do think the Chargers win. I think Justin Herbert and that offense led by Justin Herbert, you add on to the fact Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, all those pieces, I just think they have a little bit more talent than the Raiders do. And I get it. They're on the road. It's going to be a loud environment. It's going to be hostile. But I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers and the talent on that roster can definitely handle it. Give me the Chargers. 70% of people, by the way, think the Chargers win this game. So I think the Chargers win 28-24. They win. Be dramatic with it. They win with a late touchdown drive by Justin Herbert, led by Herbert. Give me the Chargers, 28-24. They just barely cover the 3 points. I'll take the under on the over-under of 49.5. I'll take the over on that, 49.5. Chargers win and cover the 3 points. Chargers get the final playoff spot in the AFC. It's going to be a fun one. That is definitely going to be a fun game to watch. Alrighty, so that's what I got for my game picks. Now let's get to the Jets and the Giants. The two spectacular teams in New York. The Jets and the Giants playing two big games this weekend. Well, Jets win. They're not going to the playoffs. Giants win. They're not going to the playoffs. So, two really meaningful games for these teams. This is a sad reality where we've gotten with New York football. Every year, final week of the season, it's just It means nothing. I will tell you this. The Giants game means absolutely nothing. Jets game, there is some meaning to it. I know I've said this about 5 times, but there is some meaning to it because the Bills can win. And I would like, as much as I hate the Patriots, I would like to see the Jets spoil the Bills' chances, and then the Patriots would win the division, possibly, if they take care of business against the Dolphins in Miami. So, obviously, that's the one. If your team stinks, that's the only thing you hope for, is to play spoilers, which the Jets could have done last week against the Bucs. If the Jets beat the Bucs last week, I believe it would have definitely took them down a peg in the rankings and probably would have took away their chances of winning the NFC. But I'm not sure how everything's going on in the NFC and all the possible chances there. But look, here it is. Here's some of the numbers about the game. Jets come into this one 4-12. Bills come in this game 10-6. Bills are 16.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 40.5. This is not a 1 o'clock game. This was changed to a 4:25 Eastern game on CBS. Jets, Bills. Now on the money line here, this is pretty wild. 68% of people have the Jets winning, which just does not seem right to me. I might want to check that. Now, 73% of people think the Jets will not lose by 17 points. So 16.5. Right now, the Bills are 16.5-point favorites. So they're at home. By the way, the weather in this game is going to be terrible. So if you're going off of weather to base your picks, it's going to be awful. It's going to be 36 degrees, and there's supposed to be a mix between rain and snow up in Buffalo. So weather's going to be awful in this game. It's going to be awful. It's going to be wet. It's going to be raining. It's going to be cloudy. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be cold. So you talk about probably a low-scoring game. That's definitely a likely scenario here. But to actually get to the game, look, I would say, it always bums you out whenever the season's over. The last week of the season, you get to the fourth quarter, it's kind of like, wow, the season's over. And it really is crazy that the Jets season is already winding down. You recall just being week 1. It felt like it was just week 1, which is wild to think. But, look, right, Jets going into this game, the only thing you could do is spoil the Bills' chances. You have no other chance of doing anything else. You would like to go into the offseason with some momentum, with some pride, with a win that makes you feel good going into the offseason. I'm not a big believer in, I'm not a big believer in, I've never been, because what happened with Adam Gase was a pure example. Going 6-2 down the stretch was a pure example of it. I'm not a big believer of winning down the stretch, playing well down the stretch always carries into the next season. I do believe it does carry into the offseason. It is positive. It leaves you, although it's been a rough year for the Jets, another double-digit loss season, another season with no playoffs. At times it was really ugly. At times there was some highs and there was a lot of lows, definitely. So you just got to hope you go into this final week and you keep it close. And that's all I ask, right? That's all I ask is just keep this game close. I obviously want to win. I really do. You want to close out the year with a win. Whether we win or lose this game, draft position is not going to get changed much. I think the Seahawks lose, so that automatically helps us with their pick. And for us, if you're a Jet fan rooting for a loss, it really doesn't make any sense to me. Because if you win this game, you maybe fall back a slot. Not even this game doesn't mean much in terms of draft position either. I just hope that Wilson shows progress. And another thing I want to say this is another thing I want to say, right? I think the Jets the Jets keep this game closer than what people think. I think this is the Jets, this final game of the season. I think you just got to lay it all out there on the line. Here's what I just want to tell you this. Zach Wilson, I want him to play. I want him to play well. I want him to play loose. I want him to play free. I want him to play his game. Be mobile when you need to be mobile. Throw when you need to throw it away. Whatever you need to do. Play your game. He's been playing really well. And that's one of the things I talk about going into the offseason, feeling confident. If Zach Wilson on Sunday throws 4 interceptions and goes into the offseason with a bad taste in your mouth, that's not a good final look. Play a good game. Play a complimentary game. Play a smart game. Because if you turn the ball over, the Bills are going to make you pay. I mean, I was at the Jets-Bills game earlier in the season when the Jets were home. Mike White threw 4 interceptions, and the Bills capitalized on those turnovers. That's why they beat us 45-17. The Bills will capitalize when you turn the ball over. There's no other way to put it. They've done it all year long, and they will continue to do it. So you got to take care of the football first. Number 2, stay healthy. Last thing you need as a Jet fan, is for Zach Wilson or another key piece on this offense get injured and it really hurt their offseason. Because for Zach Wilson, this offseason, right, it's always a second year. You always got to look for that second year jump. And he's shown progress. He's shown a lot of hope these past 4 or 5 weeks. And it's good because it's coming towards the tail end of the season. That's what you want to see, right? Towards the tail end of the season, you want to see progress. You want to go into the offseason feeling really good about who you got. Just please do not get injured. And I'm sure the Jets, I'm not saying the Jets told him to not try, but I could maybe say somebody within the Jets could have said, hey, like, look, we get it, you want to compete and all that, but you got to stay healthy. Like, you cannot get injured in this game and it completely alter your offseason. Because the last thing we need as Jets fans is for Wilson to get an injury to like a shoulder or something, maybe diving for a first down, get an injury to a shoulder or something, or to something, and have it sideline him for like the entire offseason, and then him be delayed going into next season, where maybe he then comes back in August and they got to quickly ramp him back up. That's the last thing we need. So, yes, your goal is to win every game, whether you're competing for the playoffs, not competing for the playoffs, clinch the playoffs. Your goal is to win every game, right? That's your goal. Going into every week, your goal is to win. So your goal is to win. You want to play to win, but you got to look at the big picture too. Wilson, he's just got to be smart, not only playing but also with injuries and stuff. Like, if there's a play where it's a 3rd down and 9, and you scramble and you get 8, and you dive for the first down, and that could be diving could be an injury, sliding could play a safe slide, right? Something like that. Just do not get injured. Don't all of a sudden in this game be rambunctious, start running all over the place, diving, and then get hurt. That's the last thing we need. Just all I ask is the Jets to just come out of this game healthy, go into the offseason feeling confident, feeling good about what we got, in Zach Wilson, in this young offense, right? Feel confident about Wilson, and, when the offseason comes, right, that's a different story, different day. We'll get to the offseason a lot this upcoming offseason, right? That's all I ask. Now, I did tell you, I do think the Jets keep this game closer than people expect. I do think the Bills win. I don't think they cover the 16.5 points. I think that's a lot of points. That is more points than the Bucs were favorite last weekend against the Jets. Bucs last weekend were 13.5 point favorites. Obviously, the Jets covered. They only lost by 4. I think the Jets lose this game, but I don't think they lose by 16 plus. I think the Jets lose 31-21. So I think the Bills win, but I don't think they cover. So Bills win, and they clinch the AFC East, but I think the Jets are going to keep this game relatively close. Now, it will probably be like 28-21 going into the fourth quarter. It could be something like this. Bills kick a late field goal. Jets maybe get the ball back with like 3 minutes left, down 2 scores. Something like that. All I ask is the Jets just keep this game close. And as a Jet fan too, like I don't want to go into the offseason. I don't want Wilson to go into the offseason throwing 4 interceptions. This is the last thing we need. If you lose the game, but Wilson plays well, okay, fine. It is what it is. No matter what, you're done. But just please, stay healthy, come out of this game healthy. Don't come out of this game with a severe injury that's going to alter your offseason and possibly then your second year. That's the last thing we need. Just come out of this game healthy. Hopefully come out of the game with a win. But if not, just at least just keep it close. I do think the Jets lose. I think the Bills win this one, 31-21. But I don't think they cover, but they win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 4.5, and I think the Bills win. And as for Giants and Washington, this is an interesting game pick. I'll tell you why. Because both teams stink right now. I got to admit, this pick did take me some time to do. Like, this was a pick that I will tell you was not easy to make. Because neither team's playing well. And for whatever it's worth, Giants against a division rival. I kind of lose my train of thought what I was going to say there, but for whatever it's worth, let's just say this is Joe Judge's final game. Maybe the players will come out with a little extra added energy, maybe to do whatever. This game's meaningless. I mean, it really is. Giants, Washington. Washington comes into the game 6-10. Giants come into this game 4-12. Washington 7-point favorites. The over/under is set at 37.5. This game goes on Sunday, 1 Eastern, on Fox. Look, here's the reality of it. Giants stink. Washington looked good there for a little bit, but they've lost 4 straight. God, it's crazy. Look at Washington's season. Okay, just look at it. They've been such a streaky team. So they lost 4 in a row going into their bye week. Then they came out of the bye week, won 4 in a row, and now they've lost 4 in a row. I mean, you talk about ups and downs, highs and lows, making their team believe, and then your team all of a sudden just stinks. And by the way, all of those losses the 4 losses that they've just taken were decently close, other than the Cowboys loss. 27-20, that's a 1-score game. 27-17, 10-point game. That was the weird Tuesday game. Then you got crushed in Dallas against the Cowboys, 56-14. And you just lost to the Eagles by 4. You blew the lead in the second half. So they've been in games. They have been. And as for the Giants, look. Dave Gettleman's final game as GM. Say what you want. Say, he might not get fired. No, he's getting fired. And, I get it. I get it. There's reason you want to crush him, demolish him, say whatever you want about him. You're just adding extra. Like, he's done. Dave Gettleman's as good as gone. Okay, whether they fire him or whether he retires or whether he resigns, whatever it is, he's gone. He's not going to be the GM of the New York Giants for much longer. Only about 48 more hours he'll be the GM of the Giants. He's going to get fired, no doubt about it. Joe Judge, on the other hand, look, I think the Giants have already made up their mind. I think they're keeping Joe Judge. I think it's stupid. I think it's outrageous. I think it's one of the dumbest decisions I've seen, especially coming from a Giants organization that over the years has made smarter decisions. Mara does not know what he's doing. He's lost. I think Joe Judge stays. I do. Do I think this game make or break his job? No. Whether he wins this one, do I think that's going to be the difference between keeping him? No. I think the Giants have already kind of decided on they're going to keep him. If they lose this game, I don't think he's going to get fired. I don't. I think he's going to be the Giants head coach for the next season. I don't think he deserves to be, but I think the Giants are going to give him another chance. And for the Giants, what, Jake Fromm starting this game? I mean, at this point, quarterback stinks. That place is going to be dead. Nobody's going to be at the stadium. Nobody's going to be at MetLife to watch this game. Nobody. There might be more Washington fans there than Giants. There might just be more NFL fans there. In terms of not even Giants or Washington fans. Nobody's going to show up to this game. This game means absolutely nothing. And like I said, the one positive, I guess, is the Giants is this year, the misery of the season's finally over. You can at least go into the offseason. A lot of questions, but maybe you go into the offseason and you're like, okay, now the offseason's here. I think Washington wins this game. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think Washington wins 17-10. Giants can't score. They can't score. Give me Washington 17-10. I'll take the under on the over-under 37.5, but I think Washington just covers the 7 points. Washington wins. Alrighty, so these are my game picks. I have the Bills winning, Chiefs winning, Cowboys winning, Vikings winning, Browns winning, Colts winning, Packers winning, Ravens winning, Titans winning, Washington winning, Rams winning, Buccaneers winning, Patriots winning, Saints winning, Cardinals winning, and Chargers winning. So those are all my picks for this week. And, now let's get to the update here and the rest of sports, and then we'll get to fantasy and close out this podcast. There's one game tonight in college basketball, Xavier Butler. I think Xavier wins that one. And as for the NBA, tonight you got a good amount of games on. You got the 76ers, Spurs, Raptors, Jazz, Rockets, Mavericks, Timberwolves, Thunder, Bulls, Wizards, Nuggets, Kings, Cavaliers, Trailblazers, and Lakers, Hawks. Nets are on tonight. Nets come into this one 24-12. Bucks come in this game 25-15. Nets are 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 232.5. This game goes on today, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. You can also find it on Yes Network. 55% of people in the Nets will win this game. So, kind of surprising there. As much as it hurts me to say it, I don't think the Nets win. I just don't trust their defense enough to win this game. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I just don't trust the Nets defense against a very good Bucks team. I just don't. So, I think the Bucks win this one. I hope I'm wrong, like I said, for the 50th time. But we'll see how everything plays out. And, you look at the Nets, you won't obviously have Kyrie Irving tonight because it's a home game. So, next time Kyrie Irving can play with the Nets will be Portland on the road, which is the makeup game from the game that got canceled due to COVID in the Nets. So, by the way, my winners for tonight in the NBA are 76ers, Raptors, Mavericks, Timberwolves, Bulls, Nuggets, Cavs, Lakers. And as for the NHL, only 2 games on tonight. You got the Hurricanes and the Flames and the Blues Capitals. And the Hurricanes and Capitals respectively win in their games. And let's get the fantasy. Alright, so like I said, my one fantasy league's done. My PPR league is done with, so that league's over. This league, final week of the season. Right now, I'm losing 94-67. My opponent has 58% chance of winning. 193-179 is the final projection. And this is who I'm rolling out this weekend. Justin Herbert, Nick Chubb, Michael Carter, Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper, A.J. Brown, George Kittle, Antonio Gibson, Titans defense, and Tyler Bass. Some injury updates on Nick Chubb. Chubb, ribs in his chest, doesn't carry an injury designation for Sunday's game against the Bengals. Nate Ulrich of Akron Beacon Journal reports. So, no injury for Chubb. He'll be good to go against a Bengals team that will probably be playing most of their backups to rest them. And for Michael Carter, concussion doesn't carry an injury designation for Sunday's game against the Bills after practicing fully Thursday and Friday, Rich Cimini of ESPN.com reports. So Michael Carter and Nick Chubb are good to go. Elijah Moore, in terms of Jets, does not look good. Is trending south. So he's not going to play this game most likely this weekend. So that's my lineup. Good to have Michael Carter, though, back for the Jets and for my fantasy team. And as for fantasy basketball, I'm currently winning 819-703. Today I've got going Darius Garland, Segos Alexander, John Collins, Nikola Jokic, Donovan Mitchell, Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, and Tyrese Maxey. A lot of guys are out, health and safety protocols, some regular injuries. It is what it is. Now, there is an update on John Collins. Assistant coach Joe Punty said Collins' conditioning went through shoot-around, but he's still considered a game-time decision ahead of Friday's matchup with the Lakers. Chris Kirshner of The Athletic reports. Also, a new guy for Mitchell. Mitchell back has been ruled out for Friday's game against the Raptors. Andy Larson of the Salt Lake Tribune reports. So Donovan Mitchell's out tonight against the Raptors. And then just the same other injuries, the usual. So it was good to see. Good. I mean, I'll tell you what. I did the first overall pick, and I'm not a huge fan of getting the first overall picks in drafts, but it was good to get Jokic. So, anyway, that will do it for the podcast here today. Another good podcast in the books. Enjoy the final week of the regular season in the NFL before we get into the playoffs. Next weekend will be wild card weekend. So, to all the Jets and Giants fans out there, try to enjoy at least the final week of the season. Hopefully the Jets spoil the Bills. You just got to hope, or at least just show progress. That's all we want heading into the offseason. So that will do it. A lot of big games this weekend. A lot of great sports. By the way, Kentucky on tomorrow. I think they win that game against Georgia. Bounce back. So a lot of great sports on this weekend. Enjoy it all. Football, basketball. And then Monday is the college football championship. Alabama, Georgia. So that should be good. So everybody enjoy your weekend. I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.